All right. Oh, we live.
Yeah, we are live, gentlemen. Here we go.
So
Let us go, and we have our
Oh,
countdown.
don't try to disturb me.
Yo, what's good? What's good?
What
Starting
they
got the beats.
That's good.
Got my brother from the other mother, Law Watford, back for a second. Go with Two Flew West. Then I got my brother from the other mother, Nicholas Baker over there. But we got somebody brand new on the channel.
Yeah, got a new addition to the family. This is Raider.
Raider.
Welcome
So we got
to
Rocket and Raider.
welcome to the group.
Now we're letting him down so he can go explore. Go do your thing. Go. All right. I'm ready.
I gotta say, I'm severely slagging. Like y'all got, you know what I'm saying, like the mad names, you know what I'm saying, the dope pets names, everything. Rocket, Raider, bro. Like, wow, that's crazy.
Hey man, everything happens when it needs to. So
Amen.
how you brothers doing?
Well,
Hanging in there.
okay. Yeah, I guess I'm hanging in there too, man. I mean, there's no other final point to say, you know.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
So, Law, we definitely wanted to bring you back for the for the second time, man. That last conversation was smoking. So, definitely wanted to kind of touch base as far as the political climate. What your thoughts was the temperature on New York up there, you know. Also, and I kind of also wanted to just keep this in the back of your mind. I wanted to touch on the fact that you're a filmmaker in the entertainment industry, and what is the climate in New York with all of the stuff that's going on with both the pandemic as well as the political climate.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like, as far as out here, I feel like it's kind of universal. I feel like people are a little unsettled, especially like if you're a parent with kids. Like they were talking about closing the schools in New York City down tomorrow,
Yep.
and we've been trying hard to like kind of beat that curve. So that was huge. That was even a thing to happen. As far as the political climate, I feel like, it looks like it's coming to an end. Those electoral votes, after these recounts, I think that kind of, makes it solid. The Million MAGA March went on without anybody hearing about it, which is great. I heard it was like 2,000 people there. You know what I mean? My kid's school got more kids than that. You know what I mean? So, I feel like it's fizzing out. The fight. As my daddy say, it's all over but the shouting.
Yeah, I saw. They said the boy he tweeted he won, but then like 2 hours later went on a tweet rant around like, but I'm not conceding. It's like just playing. It's still a race. We still have things going on. Like it's not over till it's over. A lot of stuff going on. I think he's just going through it. Like I think saying that I lost is probably one of the hardest things for him to just say, "Hey, okay, we didn't win." Right? I did see some pictures and videos from that million MAGA march situation, which is very interesting. Yeah, man, it's like, I don't know, like I kind of told you before, it feels like a little bit like Flipped, like the movie. Like it's a different, they down there protesting. I don't like that they took that name because they're two totally different reasons to have it. That's one thing. But it's still like, it really gives you an idea of what the climate is, because I also saw some like clips of people walking away from that march in DC, and they didn't get a warm welcome. Not that they should, but they had to be reminded where they were. You know what I mean? And it was pretty rough walking for them. And some of them were like, egging people on, and like I saw one guy pushing women, and he got knocked out cold. Like, you know what I mean? But I just think about it, it keeps making me go back to this one point of like, people are out here pushing for a person who probably don't really care about you at all. One, and it's really about the person. Like I really would challenge anyone to go out there and say, hey, give me the top 5 policies or platform things that Donald Trump is going after that you feel so strongly about. Like, name them off to me. Tell me why you're out here protesting and like really pushing. Like, name it to me to make me understand why you feel so strongly about him being there. I feel like 80% of them, maybe more, wouldn't be able to have a great, like, or wouldn't have 5 things. Like, you know what I mean? It would be like, well, yeah, he's just a great president. And yeah.
I think the opposite. Only because I keep my radar on the right wing radio.
Mm-hmm.
And I agree that, like, I think the sentiment of what you're saying is true. Like, I don't think they understand, but I think that they've been drumming, like, literally every right wing person. I mean, not even just the host, but from the host, these pundits on down have been drilling. Stack the courts, right? 2 Supreme Court judges. That's the first. They're going to go back to immigration crackdown. Even though he didn't build a wall, they're going to be like, well, he moved the money. I think he moved $6 billion. He moved $6 billion from the military funding, which is a gangster move. That's a gangster move.
It is.
You can stick a pin in them gangster moves, because we're going to come to they're going to say, yeah, the immigration thing. They're going to say the wall. They're going to say taxes, even though they're stupid because they didn't get the tax. These people are dumb. Like I think I read one study that said the tax rebate roughly equated a membership to Costco for the year, like for the average person, right? They're like, yeah, he cut taxes. They like to use words like unleashed American potential. China, I tried to read the reports on China in a different way, right? They'll bring up China, and China has had it's been like a double-edged sword. Because I listen to NPR, and of course, I'm like, anything Trump does is stupid, because it generally is, right? If you're gonna err on the side of safety, you say whatever he's doing is dumb and reckless. But apparently, there were some things about that trade war which were beneficial. I wouldn't know it, and these idiots probably don't know it, but they're hearing that. You know what I mean? So I feel like they can list these things off, not because they internally feel it, except for anything racist. Let's be honest.
That's what kind of to go to that point. So, what I'm saying is that if you went down to that march with a microphone and a camera and interviewed 80% of them, you feel like they would list off these things and be like, that's why I am here, and that's why I feel so passionate. That's why I'm willing to almost spew hatred in some ways. I'm ready to fight someone over these things you just said. Because if we think about the premise of the Million Man March, or even Black Lives Matter, right? We want equality, we want equity, we want stop killing us, right? These are things I'm willing to fight for. Yes, I am angry because you're killing Black people, right? Like that makes me angry, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when I flip it, I'm like, what I'm thinking is like I don't see them saying any topics or like platforms or things that they are just that passionate about from when I see some of the clips of people. And that doesn't represent everybody, right? And I want to try to say that. That's not everyone that was there. There's some people that can say the platform and some of the priorities that he had. And I believe that as well. But I do think some of the people who are going so angry, and really are ready to be out in the streets and fight people over it, I'm like, those are the people I would love to be interviewed and say, what are you ready to fight for? Like, why? Because I would you know what I mean? I think that answer, I think we all know what the answer is rooted in, but it would just be interesting to have those interviews and have people say, like, what is it? Tell me, what are you so angry about? I mean, of course they'd be like, oh, they're still in the election. That would probably be, the first thing.
Right. That's the next thing, right.
But I'd really be interested in how many policies that they just feel that passionate about. And like, you know what I mean? Like what is really spewing or stirring this anger that you have right now, right? So, yeah, I mean, again, when I saw the people like fighting and like when the guy got hit and all those things, I'm just like, this is over politics. Like that's where we are now in this country, where literally you can get into a fist fight in the streets over politics, right? To where it used to be like a spades game, like you play, and you can have a fist fight over spades too. Don't get it twisted. But realistically, it was like spades. Like I'm playing you, I got my cards, you got your cards. We put them on the table. When the books are played, cool. The game is over. We can dap each other and it'll be all right. And it's just how far we've moved away from that to where now it's like, nah, these are like fighting words. If you say you voted for this person or you support this person. Like I have people on my timeline, I ain't will name no names, but they like, man, I'm about to go down there because I want some smoke. I'm ready. Like, what's good? You know what I mean? And I'm just thinking like, that's the mentality. That's what it is now. It's that divided. You know what I'm saying? And that's just crazy like politics.
I feel like it's you know what it is? You ever argue with your wife? You know what I'm saying? And you, right? or your lady. And the thing is, you think you arguing about the dishes or the clothes, but it ain't really about the clothes.
Yeah.
Now, you know what I'm saying? It may not be about the time why you late, right? I feel like that's what it's about. So I feel like when these folks list these things, I think they're deeper things, right? So if you look at the courts, the reason why they say the courts, because what do the courts affect? The courts affect affirmative action. They affect whether or not you have to bake a cake for a gay couple. They affect abortion. They affect school choice and whether or not, there's certain policies I can have in my school that bar certain people from being there. That's culture war stuff. That's identity stuff. When you look at the border, identity stuff. When you look at the Muslim ban, identity stuff. Everything right now, I think even the taxes is just about saying, look, we won. Like we're winning. It's like, I feel like we're winning.
Mm-hmm.
And was a former congressman, a jerk from Chicago, who actually ended up on the right side of history. Was it Joe Walsh? Joe Walsh, who said when Trump was first elected, he said, you know what? We support Trump, not because of his policies, but because Trump is literally, quote, a punch in the face to liberals. Like, that's what this man is.
Mm-hmm.
He is a punch in the face to liberals. He would be, to me, like having D.L. Hughley as president for 4 years, right? Like, you just know, everything he said, you're going to be like, yes, right? Everything, because he's you know what he's going to bring to those who don't share your opinion. And you know he's going to say things that you just wish, man, I just wish at certain times Barack would just Just do it, Barack. Just do it. Listen to that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But that's what Trump is. Trump is literally like having a president who has, like, choked the angel on the right shoulder and has a devil on his right shoulder all the time. Like, yeah, we good. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that's what that's about. I feel like it's all about identity. Oddly enough, did y'all hear Bill Maher? He had a rant this week when he's talking about Dems, right? And, because, like, of course, now we talked a little bit about it last week, like Democrats like, oh, well, we lost because of, progressive policies, and we lost because they were talking the Green New Deal and blah, 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 blah. And he kind of went into why, and what Democrats need to do is ask yourself, why with a president this horrible would he be doing better in every single demographic except white men, right?
Mm-hmm.
What is it about Democrats that people don't like? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That would make every demographic except white men swing towards this man. You know what I mean? And part of it, again, we don't have anybody who's punching in the face. We don't have anybody who's, you know what I'm saying, the sense that we don't have anybody who's going to move $60 billion from this budget to healthcare because it's a national security issue, right? During COVID. We're going to move $6 billion into Medicaid because it's COVID. It's a national security. We need everybody to have healthcare during this time. That's gangster. We don't have anybody who's going to do that. We're going to be like, well, we went to the Congress and then Mitch McConnell. You know what I'm saying? Everything Mitch McConnell. Yeah, man. It's so I see why they're out there like that.
Mm-hmm.
I see it. I get it,
I mean, yeah. I understand the premise of being there and like speaking up for it. Like all that is fine. Like being in the actual, like, okay, I'm in this Freedom Square and I'm protesting or, whatever I'm doing, I get that, right? I don't get when it gets to that anger part. Like I'm willing to go to fist fight people in the street over this, right? Like now it's just to a point where like there's actually even everything that you named and all of those topics have a deeper foundation, right? And it's like, I mean, we already know there's systemic racism, and like racism is been built into this country and is weaved into this country, like, forever, at least 400 years. So I think it's just sometimes you have to put it in people's face and say, like, is this what it is? Because if you say someone outright, well, you racist? They're like, no. That's like the dirty word, right? And nobody wants to hear that. But I think if you look for a silver lining out of all of this, is that out of, kind of the last 4 years, is that statement people need to reflect on it. Like whether you have implicit bias or whether you have like, things that you don't even realize, some of your thoughts can have a racist tone to it. Just because of the way you were brought up. Maybe like, I think people think racism and that's like, I'm being mean to someone else intentionally. That's racism, right? And that's it, right? And that's just not true. Like there's so many other elements that like people need to reflect on and think about now that I think people are having to have those like self-reflective moments now because it's so out there and it's so in your face, and there's so many books about it now, and so many articles, and so many conversations, and like working in education. Like in education, I think that it's being talked about more now than like ever, right? Just, I mean, in some senses, like just the self-reflective work that you have to do to say like, and that's like everybody's in a different place in their journey. When it comes to that, but I think when you get to the point, because I don't know. When I go back to having equal rights or my life, I think I'm willing to fight for that. Like, you get what I'm saying? Like, that breeds that anger in me. But when I think about some of the things you brought up, like, I think from some perspective, you may be wanting to fight, but I don't know. Like, I really am thinking about the level of anger and the level of hatred that has started to come out of politics, because that's what it's stemming from, is that this is politics, right?
Mm-hmm.
But people are literally like, we can go to blows right now. Like,
do you feel that the media is perpetuating the angst and the disparity between the groups? I agree with everything that both of you guys are saying, but to me, it seems like the media is putting that extra thumb on it. Like, they kind of just leaning on it just to tip it a little bit in a different direction to help perpetuate the gas that's coming out of these cities.
no.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I definitely think so. I mean, from your favorites, your favorite media outlets, Fox, CNN, MSNBC. I mean, again, like, now here's the deal. I won't say that all are created equal, you know what I mean? But ain't none of them got clean hands. You know what I'm saying? None of them report squarely.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? As smart as Rachel Maddow is, you know what I'm saying? She's smart enough to know that there's some points that if you add in those points, kind of makes it, you're still on the right, but gives it a little nuance, right? And the media isn't into doing nuance. You know what I'm saying? Because and people may agree or disagree. It's like, no, right now this is a threat to civilization. This dude is a threat to civilization, so we need to make sure that we're, again, highlighting. It's a slippery slope, right? You know what I mean? When you get to decide that, for the sake of civilization, you're not going to fully report on something. You know what I mean? You're going to leave out certain information. You're going to make sure that you tag it, check the box, and then, you know what I mean? Yeah, by the way, this, but then you're going to, like the little blurb at the little fine print. But again, this is the thing. And right now, I've just been hammering Democrats and liberals because we're the problem, right? Part of the problem is you're being criticized and have routinely for years been criticized because you think you're so damn smart, that you're too smart, that the people are so damn dumb that they can't take the information in and critically evaluate it, right? And come to a conclusion that leans them on the right side of this threat against civilization, right? You think, no, we need to feed them this. We need to feed them this. We need to feed them that. You know what I mean? And that builds animus, right? Because if you're in the middle of the road or center right, right? And don't get it twisted. The country has been pushed center right for a long time, right? If you're center right and you're halfway smart and you're like, wait a second, but why they didn't say that? Or you discover that this report that you heard here left out A, B, and C, you get offended. What do? You turn against what? The liberal establishment. Then you feed into this idea that, the liberal establishment, they think you're dumb. And they act like they think you're dumb. You know what I mean?
Yes, they do.
And that's Bill Maher. One of the things that Bill Maher said, he was like, common sense. Democrats don't govern and act with common sense. Liberals a lot of times don't act with common sense. What he brought up which was interesting. He was like, he brought up a congressman, a Latino congressman, and he was like, one of the things he said is like, hey, you want to do more outreach to make sure that you're reaching more Latinos? How about you don't use the term Latinx, which nobody uses who's Latino. You know who uses it? Every woke liberal uses Latinx. Pew Research, I'm looking at it right now. 3% of Hispanics use the term Latinx. But somebody went, invented the term, and then now that's supposed to be And then you're using that to communicate with people who don't use the term. And they're like, what the hell are you talking about? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Again, the media is part of it, but the media is indicative of the overall policy and the way that Democrats govern, you know. And then we gaslight people, right? So if I don't say Latinx, right, then it's like, well, you know the term is Latinx. Wait, no, but it's Latino too. And then you start wondering if you're crazy because you're like, wait, the research says no Latinos are using the term Latinx. But they're making you feel like, hold on a second, like something's wrong with you. They gaslight the hell out of us. But because they're smart people gaslighting us, you'd be like, I don't mind burning a little bit. I don't know, man.
No,
that's gonna mess up.
I think you're onto something. I mean, for real. I mean, and again, it goes to me back to the day in Baker. I'm sure you remember back in the day, we had our brother Nick used to always say, "There's power behind the camera, man. You just walk into a room with a camera, control everything that's moving." So to me, that's the whole thing about, you know, smoke and mirrors about everything that's going on. It's a very straight narrow thing. It's either A or B, but it's so much propaganda around what people assuming with people who have cameras are controlling the narrative, and it's interesting, but it's also annoying to watch at the same time. At least that's my perspective on it.
Do you think the media can ever be unbiased?
No, I think they will always be biased.
Why?
I mean, us individuals as individuals, we all have biases. You know what I mean? I mean, all three of us are brothers. You know what I'm saying? Like, we've had conversations for years, but we have different thoughts and agreements about things that are topical. So, I mean, I think that regardless, it all boils down to the people. And when you start speaking to people that don't feel like they've been heard, then it's like, then there's a rally, there's an outcry, right? And so I think that's the whole thing with Trump, is that he rallied a whole bunch of people that really felt that they had been heard in a long time. And whether or not that was, you know, the hoods, or whether or not that was, you know what I'm saying, like, you know, just general regular people, it's a rally cry. And so with that being said, to answer the question, it's like, if you have a camera in your face and people are paying attention, and you say something that strikes that nerve that ain't been, you ain't you know what I'm saying? So it's like, okay, they got it. Absolutely. And then from there, it's the, you know what I mean? And it's a, you have your masses that follow you from there. So I mean, I don't think that it'll ever be unbiased. I think that who likes what, Fox or CNN? Like, at the end of the day, well, CNN said they're the, you know what I mean? Like, it's just that back and forth. Like, what do you like? Like, if you go ahead.
I'm wondering if there is a way that it could be like, it's almost like, could they be like commentary? When you first made the comment, the first thing I thought about was that, is there anything where there's people on where they don't have a bias? And it's funny, I thought about sports. And I was like, when I'm watching a sports game, I don't think possibly, like, sometimes, but I think some of the best commentators don't necessarily make you think they like a team better than the next. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, you have, like, when players become commentators, they always kind of have a thing for their home team. But I think of like a Marv Albert, right? Like, I don't know if he thought the Bulls were better than the Pistons or whatever. Like, I just know it was a spectacular play by Michael Jordan, right? Like, and that's what he put out there. And I'm just wondering, like, if there was ever a place where news could be just that. Like, just state the facts. Donald Trump went on today and said this. Joe Biden went up today and said this. News. Go. Right? And like, people, because they always do, like, you're right, people do slip in their like bias or their opinion or their thought or kind of what they thought about what the person said. And that's when it becomes bias. Right in that little moment. It may be one sentence, right? Where they be like, oh, so Joe Biden said this today. Huh, that guy's funny. That right there. Right. So I'm just wondering, is there a place where it could be just news? No. These are the facts.
I feel like 60 Minutes, for example. Or the primetime national, like, you know, ABC News Tonight, those kind of things tend to be,
8line.
Yeah, those tend to be like less biased. And so either you're gonna have to have that kind of situation, or a situation where you have kind of folks on both sides, like a crossfire kind of thing.
Right.
But it's simple. I mean, look, if you're reporting on something, go ahead, get the bullet points from the, if Trump does something, and, let's hear these bullet points, you know what I mean? Have somebody who can express, and not just to have, like, not the way CNN and MSNBC and Fox does it, right? Don't just have the obligatory Democrat, you know what I'm saying, or Republican who you're going to shout down, who you normally try to pick somebody who you can outsmart anyway, you think, you know what I mean? Just have somebody who's like, wait, like, this is what we think about the China policy as Republicans, blah, 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 blah. This is what's right. Then have somebody on the other side. And then these are the facts. This is what's happening. This is what China is saying. This is what's happening to the farmers, right? This is what the administration is doing. They're subsidizing farmers, which cost this. Once you start, like, what was it, in the movie Malcolm X, Farrakhan laid out the clean glass of water and the dirty glass of water and said, choose. Yeah. I don't gotta feed you. I don't force you one. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But Donnie said something real quick with that nerve. The nerve is a big deal, right?
Yeah.
Because our problem is, again, smart, supposedly smart liberals are like, yeah, but if that thing strikes a nerve, then you're dumb, right? You're the problem, right? He brought up cancel culture too, right? Then we cancel you, right? I was talking to some young dudes, like hoods, you know what I'm saying? Dudes in the hood. And, when I interface with them, these are young dudes, 18, 19, and I try to be like, what's up? What's up with the politics? You voting? And they were like, yeah, well, Mr. Lawrence, I mean, I look at things now, and I mean, I'm still kind of the same as I was, when I was young, when Barack was, but da-da-da-da-da-da. You know what I'm saying? But this dude Trump is kind of gangster. We hear, oh my goodness, you ignorant little young 18-year-old who's not studying and reading up on our astute literature and the position papers that we point out, and how ignorant are you to not understand and follow the people who are doing the work, right? How ignorant of it, you know what I mean? That struck a chord with you. Instead of saying, well, what struck a chord with you? Well, this dude's gangster. Like, he do this. He just kind of sound like, boom, boom. Instead of doing the work, if you're so smart of processing, obviously they're saying they want somebody who, in their mind, is a person of action, right? Instead of interpreting it that way, we want to demonize them and think we're going to win them 4 years later. We're going to shame them. And, well, if you're the reason we were here, if you thought that he, was gangster last time, blah, 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 blah. And we got to reevaluate that because we'll lose next time. Donald Trump was dumb, right? He's an idiot when it comes to this, right? A smarter version of Donald Trump would have won this election and would have won it pretty handily. Let's be real. Like, Joe Biden didn't win. Simone Sanders, I respect her brilliance because she was Bernie's, one of Bernie's strategists, right? Back in 2016. She's smart. Her brilliance was like, look, let's let him implode, right? But there wasn't any specific strategy that I think they were ready to implement should he have been able to, I don't know, act like he had some damn common sense, right? We would have lost. So when the next smart version of him comes along, strikes those same notes. Because remember, Joe Biden got more votes than anybody in the history of running for office in America. You know who's number two? Donald J. Trump. So, you know what I mean? So it ain't like, it's overwhelming. Yeah, it's overwhelming, but this electoral college thing, man, come on, you think Atlanta's going to be that easy again? A smart person in Atlanta? A Tim Scott? I mean, not a Tim Scott, a damn Tom Cotton? If you Google Tom Cotton, or what was the dude from Wisconsin? The former governor of Wisconsin, Scott. I think his last name was Scott. Walker, Scott Walker, right? These are dudes who know how to say all of that stuff, and they'll say it in the old ways, right? That was safe, right? The old ways where it was respectable,
Right.
sound like Dick Cheney. We gotta get out of our heads. We gotta get into the heads of the folks. You know what I mean? Because yes, there were people who were, in a sense, forgotten by the party, and people will say that, and it's because the party doesn't know how to walk and chew gum. We dissect people into groups, and we want to frame them Latinx and it's black women and black men. We ain't even together. They want to dissect us, black women, black men. They want to dissect you, and they can't. They don't have the intelligence to adequately speak to all groups. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you drop some groups, and now you mad because somebody's like, hey, you, white dude, you feel a little forgotten? We got a little something on our hands, right? We could have done a little better job, right?
Let me ask you something on that. You talked about like the resonance of the point of like Donald being so like gung ho or really pushing his initiative really strong, or like a punch in the face type of candidate, and that the Dems don't have that. Do you think at any point in time we'll make it back? Well, I can't say make it back because I don't know if we've ever been actually there, but actually in the middle where like there is bipartisan things that are happening that for the most part are down the middle? Or like will it be this go far left, come back to the far right, go back far left, come back to the far, like this push and pull that's just almost nonstop, depending on who won?
I think so. I think so. As long until like true bipartisanship to me it sums up the eradication of both the Republican and the Democrat parties, and just whole new names, whole new thought, whole new classifications, and so forth and so on. It's so deeply rooted with the past and the feelings in the past with this party and all of the things that's kind of unraveled over time. It's so deeply in part of the structure of who we are as a nation is that it won't ever get to that point until they truly break the system, break it, like just like you have to reset somebody's jaw or reset somebody's leg, you got to break it just to shift it and put it back, and I think it will always be broken, so that is taken into consideration.
I think to a large degree I agree with Donnie, but I also think that there is a possibility, right? Like Bill Clinton actually represented that, right? Now there was the rhetoric of partisanship, no doubt, and things got crazy as hell. We know that, right?
Yeah.
But generally speaking, there were some things that got done. It was sausage making, right? It's ugly, so I don't think it's ever going to be like kumbaya.
Right.
But I think having a candidate that knows how to speak to the needs of everyone, which I think Clinton did. I think Barack could speak to the needs of everyone, but I think he was up against some stuff, right? That prevented him, right? No doubt. But I think if you have a president who can speak to the needs of everyone and move an agenda, then you're good, right? If you have a president like Barack who can speak to the needs of everyone and doesn't have and has the battle that he had with McConnell going on, then that person is going to need to be a Donald Trump style Barack. Make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Because at the end of the day, people don't care how eloquently you spoke. Barack's speech on race when he was running after the Reverend Wright thing, brilliant. It's a brilliant speech. If you look at what's going on today, he predicted that 12 years ago. So it's not like we should be shocked. Oh my gosh, right? Like, no, if you care about Barack, if you wrote for him that much, then you should know he predicted what was going on. Correct. You know what I mean? Inside conversation, he talked about, he was asked in one thing, Republicans to this day still bring it up when they talk about we cling to our guns and religion and antipathy that don't, for people who don't look like us. That was something Barack said in like somebody takes his speech and then, leaked it, in a fundraiser or whatever, right? He was asked, what do you think is barring people from voting for you. So we know the things, but the thing is, they don't care how well you speak. In the end of the day, you're going to have to deliver. And if you don't deliver, and this is the thing, this is what Bernie Sanders pushed Barack on. Like, he was like, when the whole idea, like, yeah, Bernie was thinking about primarying Barack, there was a reason. Because he had his mind and his ear on the pulse of what was really going on. It was like, Bernie's crazy. Look how crazy he is. He's not a Democrat. He was talking about, no, he was trying to, the idea was to thread it, to make the threat of a primary, to push the candidate to the left. Because the left, either you're going to go far right and appeal to those folks, or you're going to go far left. But your centrism is not working right now. Because McConnell is not, you know what I'm saying? So he doesn't care about your centrism. In fact, you come in as a centrist, he's going to be like, give me more. You know what I mean? So I think it all comes down to the leader and how well the leader speaks to everybody, but also what the leader is willing to do and fight to demonstrate and back up his talk. You know what I mean? And we didn't have that, really, you know.
Do you think Joe Biden can be that person? I feel like they're trying to I feel like some people are urging him right now to be the punch in the face candidate and do some of the things that Donald did. And then there's this thought of that goes against what he campaigned on or what he's been talking about. But I know there's a push for him to make some of those moves. Where do you think he's the most successful? Like, what lane do you think he will see the most success?
Well, I actually think, well, the thing about Biden is Biden has always been like the centrist. He's kind of bragged about being able to cross the aisle, right? And let's be real. Again, Biden's policies that he kind of proposed during the campaign, the progressive ones were because he was pushed there. He did not come in there with the idea to do any of this stuff.
Correct.
He got dragged there, right? And I don't think that abandoning that is going to work out well for him. It's not. It's already like people aren't wasting time because we did that under Barack. We did that under, okay, we trust you. We let you handle it. 4 years. Okay, well, we understood that you can't do this because you're the first black president. Okay, now 2012. Okay, Barack. Okay, I don't think this McConnell, you know, the bowling things, the beer parties. He's not checking you. You go, okay, Barack, and then it's late, right? So, I think that he's gonna have to. What do they say? You know, be wise as a serpent, gentle as a dove. You know what I'm saying? To quote the Bible, to misquote the Bible. I probably, you know what I'm saying? Wise as wolves, as sheep, as innocent as a sheep. One of them dang on things, right? He's gonna have to be somebody who can speak. Yeah, you know, I'm willing to bring all people together. Blah 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 blah. And signing an executive order that's going to knock somebody out because the executive order, if it pushes the government back to where it needs it to be, like if you sign an executive order and you're like, hold on, I'm going to sign this executive order moving XY billions of dollars into healthcare, and I'm going to move it around to places that are like West Virginia, you know what I mean, which are struggling, which is, you know, it's struggling. You know what I'm saying? It's white people. There's more white people struggling in America than there's black people because there's just more white people than black people. And this idea that we wear poverty, you know what I mean? They love to make us the poster child for poverty because Johnson said, you know, if you can convince the lowest white man that he's better than the best black man on any given day, you know what I'm saying? You won't have to pick his pockets. He'll open them for you, right? You know what I'm saying? So they love to make us the poster child for poverty, but no, a lot of white families across America is like struggling. So if you're gonna be gangster enough to talk nice, to talk like you are now, Joe, to talk centrism and sign that executive order, that's really good. It's really good for people to have health care, right? We don't want them to not have health care. You do it because it's a national security issue with COVID, which you can legally get away with. You can make that case to the court, just the same way he made the case to the court about being able to move that money to build a wall. I think you're going to be able to make waves. I think people are going to be like, wow. Because you know what's going to happen 4 years from now when they're like, well, what are his policies that you da-da-da-da-da? they're going to be able to be like, well, he moved $6 billion from healthcare. Why? Because we're going to keep repeating that. We're going to be like, yeah, that's spite. You know what I'm saying? Because even with us, honestly speaking, I go back and I like to be self-reflective when I can. After 12 years, even with Barack, as much as we like Barack, when it was like, okay, name the policies, most of us couldn't name the policies. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? The thing that hurt the black vote was when most of us were asked to name the policies that benefited black folks. Outside of Obamacare, most of us couldn't really name all the policies. Correct. Right? Because it wasn't the fanfare, they weren't grandiose. We had to be, again, these scholarly people who follow the people who are doing the work and read the literature and read the research. No, people don't live their lives like that. Right. You working 9 to 5, you got 3 kids. You lucky if you are involved in your damn PTA. You know what I mean? Let alone trying to work with kids on your block or in your church and stuff like that. And then I'm supposed to go home and study position papers about something. No, people don't work like that. So
that's right. That's yeah. I don't know. I'm very. I don't know. This presidency is very. I'm very curious just to see how it all works out because, like you said, I do think he has to push some executive orders through. It's funny because, like in leadership, a lot of times there's this moment where people say, you know, if you have someone who's upset with you, right, that you, let's say, manage, and they're just upset, and like it doesn't seem like they have complaints, but no matter what you're doing, they just stay upset. There's usually something else there, foundational, and the best way to attack it sometimes is to go to them and say, okay, let's talk about it. What are some of the solutions you have? Tell me what you think, right? And I feel like that's the situation we're in, but that's not the solution that's needed. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think it's weird. It's not weird. You just said, like, he needs to make executive orders, and then it's almost like make the executive order and then show people why it was the best decision. Like, let me do this, and then help everyone and show why it was the best move for me or best move to make. And I do think that's the solution. I'm just wondering, will people who are feeling like some way now still be like, no, I don't care. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I still don't agree with you. I don't like you. I don't care that you did something that was helpful to me. I mean, kind of like what some will argue that Trump did for, you know, like HBCUs or what he's done for black people. Like, some people will argue that same argument. You know what I mean? That's what makes me think about will it always stay one way or the other? Because are we just stuck in this place where I just don't like you that much? It's not even whether I totally agree or have you done something good for me. It's more now, I just don't like you. So I'm not going to agree with anything you say because it's something else foundational that's there. And with our country being in that place, I'm wondering, can it ever, or how long will it take to get back? It's not about that. You know what I mean? Because, like, go ahead.
No, no. Please finish, and I can come back.
No, I was just gonna say, like, I think, you know, at one point we were at a place where you didn't necessarily love a candidate, or like, you know, that they may not win a popularity contest, but you could see or like agree on maybe positive things that candidate did as like in the position. Like, you know what, I don't like them, but they did do these things. I gotta admit that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think we're there anymore. I think when you argue with people who are just these like extremists of one side or the other, it's like no matter what was done, it's like, nope, that person sucks. Nope, they ain't do that. Nope, they ain't do that either. Nope, they did that. They lying. Nope. Like, you know what I mean? And it's just, how do we get past that?
I think with the narrative, right? Narrative also corresponds with a place where we are, and I think that we haven't been as a overall complete society. Is everything is micro? It's like the microwave society. We need it now. Veruca Salt, 1000%. We got cell phones that get you information. Like, okay, the Lakers traded got Dennis Schroeder. Boom! Immediately, we all know about it. Boom! It's cooked. So you immediately form your decision. You don't know the with, you know, the everything that's going on behind the scenes, but you quick to make an instinct decision about how that makes you feel, how do you process, so forth and so on. Now, bringing that back to the politics, whereas I think that with society, I think the society that we live in right now can't handle it, too fragile overall from the perspective of I don't want to hear what I don't feel like hearing right now. Like, I had a hard day at work today, man. I don't feel like hearing it. Like, whatever. Okay. Oh, well, he's stupid because of so forth and so on. And you don't really process everything that's going on. Like using points for both you guys' conversation where it's like, oh, well, he moved this and he moved this and trillions and surplus and so forth and so on. And people that are, that take the time out to really try to understand what's going on, those people are those people. But everybody else, they're not in the books. They're not looking at, oh, well, I know this guy moved this and so forth and so on and trade documents. And so, you know what I mean? Like they don't really know everything that's going on. They just hear based off of Twitter. Oh, this is trending in Twitter. Oh, well, CNN said and so forth and so on. And then you formulate your opinion based off of that. What? Like, oh, really? Oh, well, how dare he? Because why? I know CNN, and CNN never gives you a biased story.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
That's like me, and you put it in the sports world. For me, I'm a huge NFL fan. If Adrian Wojnarowski puts something out, it's like, oh, okay, that's pretty much fact then, because he has proven time and time again that Woj knows what he's talking about when it comes to transactions and things going on both in NBA and NFL. So, in all sports. So I look at it from the same perspective with politics, whereas, we see something and it's like, at the end of the day, my personal thing, shining a light on myself is, I didn't not vote for Trump because of anything he had going on in the Republican Party and decisions and so forth that he made and so forth. So I didn't vote for Trump because I just didn't like him as a person.
Right.
Flat
That's
out.
what Bill Maher was saying, yeah.
Like it's nothing else other than that. Like he could have done so much for the economy, so forth and so on. But that guy is speaking for me in the office. Nah, I don't agree with his candor. I don't agree with his tone. I don't agree with how he addresses himself in the media. How he, like how he treats his woman. Let alone like he don't do anything. You don't ever see him with his kids. So the Lord knows. You know what I mean? So I'm like, no, that's my thing as far as why I did not vote for that man. Like again, and I'm not the most astute person when it comes to politics. I mean, I'm learning, but I feel like I'm like mostly everybody else is where now we're paying attention now, and now that we're woke, we're looking at what we're learning, everything that's coming. But it's at the grand scheme of things, it's like at the end of the day, I don't know enough to say, oh, that man is not qualified for the job. I just know for a fact I don't like that guy. And we need to get him out of there before he mucks something else up. You know what I mean? And so you put the candidates up, you put Biden up versus Trump. It's like, to me, it's a no-brainer. Like this man, even when they called it on that Saturday, like he ran out, like he tried to run out. Sorry, Joe, love you, but he tried to run out like Barack. It was like, oh, he doing a Barack like shuffle, and then pause for a second, and then he walked. And then came back out with it on the second leg of it. Like, it's like, I get it. You've seen it. You've been around it. And it's the story. It's the propaganda. It's everything. Like, you have that we've seen before. Whereas Trump was just like, I don't care. You're fired. But I'm the president. And he stumbled and bumbled it through. He made it. We made it for 4 years, which I was not never worried about us. Civilization's about to stop. Now I was more concerned with Y2K than I was concerned with Donald Trump being in office. Just to be quite honest.
I think your what you just said is probably the sentiment of a lot of people, right? Like whether you like them or not, right? It's almost like the American Idol thing, or like that's where we're at now. It's become. Ruben started a Clay Aiken. Like, who's the one you picking? Like, call in and pick your candidate now, or who's the winner, right? But I think it's gone a lot. That's what I mean. But that takes me back to one of the first things I said about going to interview people and saying, okay, what are the policies that have you so passionate? I don't think it's about that. Like, it's just like, I just like the way this guy carries himself. Like, I really think that's what it'd be about. Like, people ready to go to blows for that, right? And I'm just like, wow. Like,
I think it's about trust, though.
Huh?
I think it's trust. Like, who do you trust? I think genuinely what we want to do is elect somebody who we can trust to really represent our interests. Like, I think like that's where it's at.
True.
And I want to be able to trust you and leave. We want to be able to do what we did with Barack, right? We know we can't do that right now because there's too much else that has to happen behind the scenes to kind of keep that person in a position to be able to do a lot of things, right? But we generally want to be able to be like, he's good. Generally speaking, I can trust him to that whatever decisions they make are things that I'm going to be in line with. And if I'm not, if I understood the reasons why, I would at least be able to be like, all right, I'll give deference. You know what I mean? Not saying that we should be there, right? Because again, we was droning to hell and killing a lot of innocent people, right? Between 2008, 2012, right? We was, you know what I'm saying? We was deporting folks, right? To some degree, maybe people are going to argue on both, you know. So we should definitely stay interested and engaged so that we can be like, hold on, I think you're moving a little too far this way.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I think, you know. But generally speaking, I could trust Barack to make decisions that are sound. You know what I mean? I can't do that with Trump.
I don't know. Has there ever, like, do you think there is that level of trust in politics? Like, I think the normal comment is like, politicians are corrupt, or you know, it's almost like lawyers sometimes, where it's like, oh, you know, lawyers lie. That's just part of their job. It is what they do, right? So I'm thinking, like, when I think of politics, like, think about just the statement of when you're like at your job and you're like, oh, it's all politics, right? That's not. It's a good thing. Oh, it's great. It's politics. We have a lot of trust here. That's not what that statement is saying. Like, it's literally become a statement to say that, oh, it's a lot of like games and like things you have to play and know the right person and this and that, right? That's what it means, like almost to when we use it that way. So I'm just like, has politics or like these things ever had a moment where there was, I mean, I don't know. I'm having a lot of complex thoughts right now. I think people buy into a person, but I don't know if they ever trust that the person's actually going to do everything for them. They just buy. I think it really goes back to, Donnie, what you were saying. Like, if I think about it, people vote for who they like. Like,
absolutely.
I don't know. Like, I don't know if it's really about, oh, I actually think they're going to push through these 5 policies or these like things that, you know what I mean? I think it's like, I like how you talk, or you look like me, or, you know, I've heard about you, or I like this one speech I heard you say. You know what I mean? And I think that goes to what Law was saying about, we do go into it thinking, I just want to pick somebody, trust that they'll make good decisions, and be on my way. Right. And that we actually need to get to a place where we are researching more and we do know more things so we can hold people accountable and say like, hey, these things need to happen and you aren't making them happen. We need some accountability. So
right. And see, this is, and I'm glad you said that, because it's further substantiates both my point and the point that you just made. Like, taking this ballot in general, for example, it's like, to be honest with you, okay, election day, and this, you could say I'm ignorant, you can say whatever you want to say. I'm gonna say, at the end of the day, when I got the ballot, I opened up, cool. Really, I'm just looking to vote for Biden and Trump. Then it's like a whole bunch of these other people who's councilman of this ward and the supervisor of so forth. I don't know this person. I don't know what their track record is. I don't know what their accolades are. I don't know if they've even graduated college, so forth and so on. All I know is they got their name up there. Oh, okay, well, cool. I guess from an outlier perspective, I could look at it and say, oh, okay, this person was a lawyer. And they're applying for this position, which I guess that a lawyer should be able to do that job. And this is where I think the democracy implodes on itself. What gives Trump a voice that be able to say, hey, the system's flawed and, you guys blase, blase, blah. Because at the end of the day, how can you do your homework on people you don't know? And go back to the same point, Law, that you made as far as trust. I don't know these people, so how can I say I trust them to do their job? You see what I'm saying?
I mean, and that's why we've leaned on parties. For example, in New York, we have the Working Families Party, right? So when there are people running like the Democrats, you can vote for the Democrats under the Democratic Party or the Working Families Party. I voted the Working Families Party line because the Working Families Party, the agenda obviously is a lot straightforward. That's what it means, right? They're about working families, right? Very progressive-y, Bernie Crack kind of, policies, right?
Right.
And doing that, it gave me a little bit of trust. I'm like, well, if the Working Families Party is endorsing these candidates to the degree that I could vote for them on the ballot under that party, then I'm like, okay. But I feel like we've gotten lazy overall in trusting the Democratic Party and the Republican Party, right? So it's like, oh, Democrat, we just mark that because I trust that the Democrats are going to generally swing this way on these issues, right? And we just really, like you say, we haven't held them accountable. We have not held that party accountable.
True, but then you also look at it too. If you look at like if politics had a mood ring, the Democrats' mood, like their ring would be like rocking, because to me it seems like Democrats are the ones who realistically are like always like and Republicans, not saying they're right. I'm definitely indifferent to either party, but I do identify with peace. I do understand. I do identify with, okay, we don't have to always act a fool in order to get reap benefit and so forth and so on, right? So we don't need to always push in a violent way. You know what I mean? Like maybe I identify with Dr. King in the verse to Malcolm X, but even Malcolm X at the time had to come back and be like, wait a minute, I kind of dig what Dr. King was saying though. You catch more flies with honey. That's almost science. I'm not saying it is science. I'm saying it's almost science, right? It feels like it. It should, and God damn it, it works sometimes. So I'm saying that with regard to these politics, like I said previously, it's like people are so snug as a bug in a rug with how they feel about these parties and the emotions that's surrounding it. Mm-hmm. Whereas if there was more people that, like, if we had a party that came out of the independent that was like Joe Biden, that was like, look at him and had the same kind of, like, he got the masses together, I think that would totally interrupt and break things up because it gets outside of the norm, the status quo. It's either left or right. And any physician knows, or not physician, sorry, it's the wrong word to use, but any genius knows it's not just about left and right. You know what I mean? Like that does not equate to sum of coverage. You know what I mean? So if you get one guy that's like Neo in the Matrix, that he gets it, then that breaks the system down.
Yeah, and remember Barack.
But
yeah, I was about to say, remember Barack's speech is, we're not a liberal America and a conservative America. We are the United States of America. That was his introduction to the world. Yeah.
But again, that's what made him him. And as I always say, it's human nature to have respect for things posthumously. You know what I mean? So we always enjoy and we always appreciate in postmortem, instead of when it's right there in your face. And I think that if people took more time to really look at everything overall objectively and assess negatives and positives and understand the balance between the two, then you could really have a educated, a more hypothesized selection, or at least understanding of knowing that awareness that you know what, I don't know, but let me take the time to make educated guesses, or make do the homework to understand. Because I think a lot of that too, it boils down to that, being able to take the extra step to say, you know what, I'm going to read more about Bernie Sanders. Oh, I'm going to read more about Nancy Pelosi. I'm gonna read more about these people that's nobody ever talks about, but they are huge in in how they're running and how they're affecting the platform. But again, I think that's go ahead.
But
no, I just think that part right there is the thing that I think that we're missing. It's that realization of understanding that there's always three sides to a story. The point A perspective, the point B perspective, and the truth. And I think that's always the truth always get lost, and that's just how I view it.
No, I think it does too. I agree. I just think timing is what that type of candidate would have to have. Because the reality is, I mean, Joe Biden started his speech with we're not red states or blue states, we're the United States. He had his own version of the same statement, right?
Exactly.
But it's a political statement now. It's not this genuine, oh, you get it statement. It's like, and it's so many things. It's like you talked about Democrats being a rah-rah. I think they're rah-rah when they're trying to get a position and then they get in it and turn to Care Bears because they want to like bring everybody in, or they're trying to bring everybody in, but then they don't push the things that they were talking about they were going to push. Like that's been the issue, right? And I think that's what, I mean, Donna was a different type of candidate, came in and did things totally different and pushed a lot of his initiatives through because he was different, right? But that's what I was talking about with the center. It's like, will we ever get to that point where people can actually are ready for that? It's almost like, being a male and looking for a relationship, right? You can have the perfect woman come up, and if you're not ready, I don't care what she do, you're not ready, right? And then time goes on, and you meet another person who she may not even be perfect, right? But she had, let's say, 90% of the qualities you need, but you're ready, and that makes it the perfect situation now, right?
Right. Totally.
The same thing with politics. It's like, yeah, we can have a candidate come up. I mean, we've had independents run before. We've had people, seemingly not taking a stance on like too far left or right. But people don't even entertain that right now. Like it's like those candidates don't ever get a large chunk of the pie. I mean, and when Hillary ran, there was enough that people got enough of the pie that it changed the outcome. Like realistically, and that's what they looked at. They looked at the 3% and the 5% of the change. I can't think of the candidates that ran when she ran, but they had gotten those votes previously. And now this time that was like the percentages that Joe was getting. Like it would have to be just this like hell of a campaign, but I think people would have to be ready for it. And I don't think in the climate that we're at now, it could be the perfect candidate. Like, I mean, Barack Trump, like, you know what I mean? Like, he just the perfect mix of everything. And I don't think it would go through. I still think people would be like, oh, who is that? Right. And one last thing about the ballot, it's interesting. You talked about your kind of the way you went through the ballot. Cause on my side, like, and it was my wife for sure, but she was very much like, so we're going to sit down at dinner and go through this ballot and actually research every single piece of that we're voting on. So she went through in every candidate, she Googled them, looked up the information, every proposition. Awesome. She went through and was like, okay, what is this one saying? Let's look it up. Where did it come from? Why are they saying do this? You know what I mean? So like, I think everybody, you're going to have a different experience in it depending on where you're at in that moment, right?
I agree with that.
We'll check off boxes for people that make them go after it more at different times. You know what I mean? So for us, I was very informed on what I was voting for because my wife said we're going to be informed. So I was like, okay, cool. That's what we're doing. You know what I mean? And I've never done that before. So I can own that. Like I can't say that I understood everything that I voted for before. A lot of times it was just like a quick, what's this saying? Okay, I think I like that. This proposition, no, I don't want that one. But I really didn't know the details of what I was voting for. So I think that's part of what I'm saying is that we got to get more knowledge on certain things and not just like we got to get past yes, you can like somebody and that may be the main reason you vote them in. But then after that, the accountability piece has to get ramped up some more if we're going to see change like happen. So.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot with that. I'm sorry, Laura, did you have? Go ahead.
No. I'm just processing.
No, I think there's a lot with that, and I think first of all, I think it's dope. I mean, you know, Chess, you already know, like that's awesome. That you know what I mean, like to be able to be in that situation. That I think that boils down to the people the parties that really want to get involved and really want to understand exactly what's going on. So there should be kudos there. You also got to look at life too, and with life is not everybody's in the same position, and there's people that have the opportunity to seek the information, and then there's people that just don't or don't want to, and those the don'ts and don't want tos aren't necessarily in the same zip code. You know what I mean? Like some people just they don't want to because they're like at the end of the day like my life is tough and I don't want to, and like so what what is it? Whereas the people that just don't have time to, or maybe they want to don't have the time to, but I think overall, going back to the point is that with everything that's going on right now, I think the winds blow in the seas that says that politics is definitely a must, and an understanding, just like understanding stocks right now, it seems to be the climate. Whereas 10 years ago, it's like I don't know what like the stock market, like I mean, like okay, but to have a better understanding of what's going on as a potential, financial stability platform, you kind of want to get involved in all these things, and so I definitely applaud humanity and where we are as a culture to want to do that. But again, it goes back to me. Always it goes back to making hamburgers, and it's funny that let me explain this. So one of the things that I went to Glenard Woods Elementary School. Glenard Woods Elementary School in 5th grade, we got microeconomics, and microeconomics was the whole curriculum was learning how to sell widgets. And in order for you to do well in microeconomics, you had to know what a widget was. That's the key. If you didn't know what a widget was, then you're not going to do good in that class. So understanding what a widget was and how that relates to everything that's going on in life is key to me. So with regard to politics, it's like, okay, at the end of the day, that's a widget. How do we get people to either like this or not like it? Because at the end of the day, like I said, it goes back to hamburgers. Like, you want to get in the hamburger business? Fine. It don't matter how your hamburgers taste, for real. They just have to be, people have to feel like it's just as good as McDonald's, if not better. Because a hamburger at the end of the day is still a hamburger. You can't be like, oh, I want to make hamburgers, but McDonald's made them. So, let me go back to the drawing board. No. At the end of the day,
my kids be like that, and that kind of pissed me off when they sound like that. By the way, I'd be like, "Boy, you better eat this damn McDonald's hamburger."
See what I'm saying?
Yeah, bougie ass little.
A hamburger is, at the end of the day, a hamburger is a hamburger. It's just who makes it better, and it's not even about who makes it better. It's preferential to the person. You never win that story. You never win that argument. At the end of the day, you're in the hamburger business. So with that, you take that same regard to me, at least again, my perspective. Politics is the same thing. At the end of the day, I don't like Trump.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Biden is clearly a better number one, and the sister she's clearly a better number two. Because Mike Pence is like, forget about it. It's like the leading.
Yeah, I can't stand
it. So at the end of the day, that's where the game is, and also if you and I'm sorry, bear with me on this. Like, to me, the game is about like great magicians. It's all about sleight of hand, right? So it's like when you really selling the trick, it's not you selling the trick, you selling yourself selling the trick. You know what I mean? And that's really what it boils down to. So it's like they gotta like you as a person to even care that you doing the trick.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so,
I was just thinking about your hamburger analogy to go back to the hamburgers. Because my mind went, first I was picturing SpongeBob and the Krabby Patties and how much everybody loved the Krabby Patties and he had the spatula. But then real talk, I feel like, again, going back to the party, I think we had a choice this year between the Impossible Burger and a dang on burger that was like, you know, uncooked with some old meat shipped from China, right? And it was like, all right, I'm gonna choose the Impossible Burger, right?
Yeah.
The problem is that too many people try to convince your ass that the Impossible Burger is the same as a real hamburger. And that's what the Democratic Party is right now. We're the Impossible Burger. And they're like, well, no, if you look at the benefits, and do you realize, well, you should click on this Netflix video and see what that burger is doing in your body. And then look at how they left the McDonald's burger out after a year. Shit that I'm like, I'm not going to look at it because I may eat another McDonald's hamburger. I like McDonald's hamburgers. You know what I mean? Stop trying to convince me that you're a real hamburger if you're the Impossible Burger. You know what I mean? And I feel like that's where the party is. It's like, well, no, every smart person loves the Impossible Burger. Why? Because why would you eat a real burger when you get it? And what about the cows? And da-da-da-da-da. And, you know, look at the Chick-fil-A cows. They don't, you know what I'm saying? You know.
So what you say? I'm stupid because I eat Five Guys? Like at the end of the
day? Exactly. Hey, yo, and real talk. Most of America is Five Guys, right? They're Five Guys, they're Checkers, they're Rallies. You know what I mean? To the degree, like, yo, of course, we joke the hell out of Donald Trump for hamburgers. But let's think deeply about what message that sends. Oh, he had hamburgers. That's a hell of a message to send to people when you got in black neighborhoods, you don't got grocery stores, but you got fast food. Kids living off of hamburgers. You know what I mean? We don't even gotta go to white America. We can say right here, like, and you like, oh, look at him, he ate hamburgers. What are those people? Those people like, shit, he had hamburgers?
Yeah.
He had hamburgers.
Like, who did
hamburgers? Right. You know what I'm saying? Meanwhile, on the other end of the spectrum, you know what they were joking about Barack Obama with? I think there was some time he was eating a Chicago deep dish pizza or something like he ate it with a knife and a fork. And they tore his ass up on that side because of that, right? Which was stupid as well, but it's like, think about culturally what people are looking for, anything that resonates. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And they pick up on things that resonate. So you got one party that's like, yo, look at him, he's eating hamburgers and chicken, fried chicken. Meanwhile, dude is mad obese. Like, let's be real about that. It's some practical reasons we want to go ahead and highlight that, right? Mm-hmm. But what does that say when you have the vast majority of the country who ain't vegan? You know what I mean? I'm sorry, they eat hamburgers. You know what I'm saying?
Hamburgers.
They eat hamburgers. Maybe, you know, and if we don't want to eat hamburgers, maybe we shouldn't push Impossible Burgers. Just be like, all right, good, eat your hamburgers. I'm gonna do me, but this is how I'm gonna improve your hamburger. You know what I'm saying? You like hamburgers, this is what I'm gonna do. Yes, I eat watercress salad with a root full of leaves, you know what I mean, and Parmesan cheese sprinkle, right? That's me. I respect that. What I want to do is do this for you. Make sure that when you're eating your hamburger, it's not made with imported meat from China, right? That it doesn't have these growth hormones in it. You know what I mean? Yeah. So that when you give your kid a hamburger, you're giving your kid a made in USDA American beef, made in hamburger, blah, 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 blah. What do you think the people in the West are going to say?
Exactly. It's a dish.
Instead of trying to sell me the Impossible Burger. Nah, they eat the Impossible Burger.
What I think of hamburger.
You know, but you know what? I'm gonna take y'all burger drink a little bit further on this, whether you like the candidate or not, right? Mm-hmm. Like, to me, it's they're selling a burger. It's not necessarily an Impossible Burger or a real burger or a McDonald's burger. It's like a burger, right? And you see it look like a real burger. Got all the fixings. Looks like it's a burger to me, right? So I like it. I like the way it looks. I don't know what's in it. I don't know what it's made of. I don't know what it's really about, but I like the way it looks. Go on, give me that burger. and then you bite it and you find out it's an Impossible Burger, right? And you're like, hold up, this ain't the burger that you said, and they say, I just told you it was a burger. Like, I didn't say what it was, or you didn't investigate to see what it was. And I think that's where we are. It's just, it looks burger to me. The fixings are there. I like it. Give it to me, right? Instead of saying, like, I feel like Donald came in like a liver and onion sandwich. I mean, like, you know what I'm saying? We can say, I don't like that. So it's now a burger against a liver and onion sandwich where you're like, nah, definitely don't want the liver and onion sandwich. So give me the burger. And then we bite it and it's an Impossible Burger. And it's like, we got to do more investigating. We can still say we want our burger, but the accountability comes from us. You know what I mean? We get too caught up in I liked you, remember? You looked like a burger. I liked it. And that's supposed to be enough. I'm supposed to be able to walk away now and you do your burger things. But when we bite it and it's an Impossible Burger, it's almost like we're not holding them accountable. It's like we just chew it and say, fine, that's what I got. I got an Impossible Burger. So just let them be the Impossible Burger. It is what it is. At least they're there, you know, whatever. It's cool. It's not a liver and onion sandwich, at least.
Right.
That's how we kind of move forward. We just go with it and not say, hold up, I just took a bite. This isn't what I thought. I needed 100% beef. So, yeah, I need you to get 100% beef. Like, make that happen. Like, no, I'm going to be right here waiting for you to get the beef. Like, I'm not doing this. You know what I'm saying?
I'm not sponsored by Wendy's. This Too Far West, Too Flew West is sponsored by Wendy's.
Hey, this message is not to say that Impossible Burgers are nasty. It's just for
No, I think really, but again, it goes back to the point of I agree with you 1,000% with that, and I think that's if not 100%, close to 100% exactly what's going on. But I definitely feel that when we're looking at the overall perspective, I think it goes also back to a point of, you know, the dichotomy between, can one man make a change, or do everybody need to make the change together, you know, as a whole? You know what I mean? Because a lot of people, they'll be like, oh, okay, like you say, okay, well, you know what? All right. Well, they got me this time. So, I mean, I guess we're just stuck. And don't, you know what I mean? And not understand that this is democracy. You know what I mean? Now, whether or not people can, you know, perform a coup to get somebody out, I'm sure it's possible, but whether or not people are actually going to get there, probably never in our lifetime. You know, and I think that really boils down to, you know, the brass tacks of it. I mean, like I said, with Trump, especially all the stuff he did in office, I mean, he did some stuff. It's just like, bro, like, what's with the, like, you know, any other president would have gotten, you know, an impeachment issued on him, like, flat out. But this guy, we're not even going to touch it. And then we try to, you know what, we just run out of gas with it. He's like with Drake with ghostwriting. It's like, you know, it's possible, but you know what? We let it go because, damn it, it's Drake. You know what I mean? And so, and to me, I think this is the same thing with Trump. It's just like, at the end of the day, it's like, okay, well, he's in office. I mean, just let him do his 4 years, and we try to get him out if we can.
Hey, but also, damn it, it's Drake. But also, a lot of people love Drake.
I agree.
That's the reason. Like, not saying it's right, but it is what it is. Like,
and let me not say that I don't like Drake.
71 million, 71 million, like Drake.
Yeah,
or Trump.
But again, if let it be an artist, like let it be like Nas, who had the ghostwriters and so forth and so on. You already know Black Twitter come up.
Right.
You know what I mean? So again, that was my point. Sorry again, Drake. Yeah. Thumbs up.
No, but it's so real. It's just where we are, though. Like, it's so interesting to see if a Democrat can be that person. Like, it's just interesting to see, because I do feel like they're held to this different, I guess, moral compass or something, like, where it's like, I don't know, like, it's kind of like you're saying Nas having a ghostwriter. You can't, no, that ain't happening.
Right.
No. Right. A Democrat can't be that, you know, they can't be what Donald was. Like, you can't. Like, no, you can't go that hard. Not saying all of his beliefs. I'm just talking about how he moved his agenda. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh no, you can't do that because we bring people together. Even if we're not bringing people together, even if we're just standing still, we still bring people together. You know what I mean? It's a funky little world, man. It's a weird mix of things where it'll be interesting to see how if it can ever be untangled. It reminds me of when you got a bunch of headphones with wires in a box, and all the wires are connected together, and it's like you can untangle it, but you really got to sit there and do some untangling to get each one separated, right? And I think that's where we're at now.
It takes work.
Yeah.
It takes work. It takes one, courageous leadership, right? Because they need to see it on the macro level. You know what I mean? So somebody who can inspire that. Hopefully Joe can. And then it needs to also take somebody who's courageous enough to take bold stances to kind of diffuse the perceptions that people have had about certain policies, right? Because again, just how with these Trump voters, they can't name the policies per se, or they don't necessarily understand the policies. On the other end, they understand opposite policies to be like antagonistic or anti-freedom and these sorts of things, right? So once you pass these, but these are the policies that we know as folks on the left, as progressives, liberals, or whatever, even centrists to some degree, know, well, we need to do these things, right? We need to make sure that we're like doing things like raising the payroll cap, right? So that to $500,000 instead of $250,000, right? We need to do stuff like that, right? But we need to pass those policies so that those people who are taught that those policies are anti this and this can be like, we can diffuse those thoughts. You know what I mean? We'll no longer lend credence to that. They can no longer be like, oh, well, that's crushing freedom. Or if you put in, I mean, they hated the idea at one point of the catalytic converter in cars, right? It was like, oh, you're going to destroy the auto industry. But you had to pass it, put it in, and people be like, damn, you know what? The air is cleaner in California. You know what I mean? Okay, this makes sense. So now I don't necessarily believe when I hear, oh, these policies that group wants to pass is going to do this. You know what I mean? And Republicans are really good at using loaded terms. Unleash. If you listen to, you know, my wife called me. If you listen to the debate, words that what's the dude, the vice president, who Pence used, right? Unleash, restrain, job crushing, something just destroying. You know what I mean? Freedom. Like they're good at using these words and programming folks with them. We need somebody who's going to deprogram that. And I think that's the twisting of the wires. Because then once your policies work, it's like then it comes down to maybe I just don't like your ass or not. But I can never use policy as a reason to justify it. And these folks right now with Trump are using policy as a means of shielding them from the responsibility of supporting such a despicable human being. You know what I mean? In office. Like, well, it's not him, it's his policy. And this goes from Christian evangelicals. Like I've seen them, they're like, oh, like they evangelicals have been putting out lists for evangelicals to read about why we support Trump, because everybody knows that you shouldn't support Trump,
right?
Because you look kind of like a hypocrite. But no, it's not him, it's these policies. So once we shield and strip that away, I think we're gonna be able to move forward.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's got to be such a like dirt tossing contest. Like, how much dirt can I put on your name? Like, Law, you had office in college, right? You had an office, right?
In office.
In college. What were you in college?
Oh, yeah. I was actually Sorry, student government president. Sorry, yeah. That's right.
What office did you hold in college?
Student government president. Sorry, SGA president.
I thought it was president. I just didn't want to say the wrong thing. So you were the president. Did you have to run for that?
Yeah.
Like, did you talk about any of the people that ran against you? Did you say how bad they were?
Nah. Well, I wasn't like dirty. Nah. I ran against Clayton Bond, who, you know, Clayton Bond is the nephew of Julian Bond. Clayton's a real good dude. Clayton was more conservative than I was. He was definitely more. I was. For folks who want to understand why I'm a Bernie supporter, like if you knew me at Hampton, it's obvious. You know what I mean? I campaigned. I was scruffy. You know, Clayton was real clean cut. You know, so he wore the blue blazer and the whole nine.
Yeah.
In that election, if I remember correctly, it really came down, honestly, to like two different flavors of Kool-Aid. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But the thing about it is, I was eating burgers. You know what I mean? I was eating burgers. You know what I'm saying? I was in the Union Jam sweating. You know what I'm saying? I was doing crazy stuff. You know what I mean? And I was.
Were you in there talking about him?
Nah, I didn't really have to bat my Clayton.
But that's what
I can't speak for my surrogates. You know what I mean? And so Clayton, if you're watching Clayton, I can't speak for my surrogates, but Clayton has surrogates too. I remember some in surrogates. Some of us still be funny to each other. We love each other, you know, Hampton love, but we still got that surrogate energy going on, you know.
Hey, I just think about how, I don't know, some of the stuff they say about each other and then try to act like they can dap each other up and be cool with it. Be like, man, I don't know. I think about it at that top level now, like, you know, some of the things even like Trump threw out there about Biden's son, and then try to come out and be like, how you doing? So like it's okay, like.
Yeah, now that's crazy. But yeah. I think politics going back, like if you look at Bernie and Biden, I think that's generally the acceptable level. Like I think those two dudes really kind of got it. Like when they were on stage, they're like, look, we know each other. We cool. That's why I was like, yo, when Joe was up there lying, he was like, yo, Joe, go to the YouTubes. You know what I'm saying? He was like, yo, because he was really like, yo, like us, like, yo, Donnie, you really didn't, Donnie. You know what I mean? It was that energy. But it wasn't like he had to come out and be like, yeah, you know, Joe Biden is up there on stage lying and mischaracterizing, da-da-da-da-da. Nah, it was just like, yo, two people had a vigorous debate. We know that they cool. We appreciate that they cool. You know what I mean? If you walked in liking one, you probably walked away liking them and vice versa. It wasn't this, like, thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And even to Mitt Romney and Barack thing, I don't think it went crazy vitriolic or whatever. You know what I'm saying? I think we probably dogged Romney a little bit more than maybe, you know, on the left and maybe he was due, you know what I mean, in certain areas, you know what I'm saying? But it wasn't like this. It wasn't like 2016 and 2020.
2020, yeah. It was dogfight these 2 years, bro. Or these 2 elections. Jeez.
Yeah. Didn't Donald Trump say he wanted to fight Joe Biden or something like that?
No, but Joe Biden said he wanted to fight Trump.
Oh.
He said he was in the locker room. He said he would whoop him up.
Knock him in the face.
Oh, yeah, Joe. Yeah.
You know.
I don't know about that one.
I get him though. He's that guy. It's like, bro, like, you know what I mean? But I mean,
I feel you. Yeah.
Come on, Joe. You know.
Yeah. Yeah. I'd be like, hold on, Joe. With that one, somebody may have to teach you how to carry a razor blade. You may need a little extra something. This dude was on WWF for a little while. You know what I mean?
Oh, Joe.
Or slight
Right.
Well, but nonetheless, we wrapping it down, guys. This was a great conversation, man. We definitely can revisit on other topics, especially the one that sit with me as far as Howard University trending over Hamptonians right now. I just had to throw that out there, but I see by the side eyes that we got to come back to that for sure. Yeah. That's a good topic. See how I did that, and we're just like,
we need to start grooming some candidates, y'all. We got some candidates. We got some people running.
It's that time. It is that time.
But it's all love, like I said. Donnie B got the beats here with Nicholas Baker and my brother from the other mother, Law Watford. 2 Flew West. Stay tuned for the next coming episodes. I'm sure it'll be dope. Till then, peace, love, and soul in the words of the brother Don Cornelius.
All right, fellas.
All right.
Easy.